right now. Fox News contributor Rachel Campos-Duffy and Danielle McLaughlin with us here, attorney, author, and liberal commentator. Good to see you both, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
Rachel, the president harshly criticized Trump in the past. We know that. He said that he was temperamentally unfit to be president. What's your reaction to the meeting today? What are you expecting? It's sort of a must-watch, isn't it?
It really is. It's going to be very exciting to watch them walk into the White House and meet the president and see what's going to be their new home. And I think that the Bushes were a class act, and you can tell it's not faking it when Obama and Michelle show that affection for the Bushes. And I think it has to do with the way they handled the transition back in 2008. And I think that they are going to take that tradition and extend that to the Trumps. And I think that that's the way it should be. And so, but listen, make no mistake that this is going to be hard for him because Trump is definitely going to undo almost all of Obama's most important legacy items, beginning with Obamacare, all the illegal executive orders, the things he's done in Cuba that have upset so many Cuban Americans and helped pull him over the top in Florida, help Trump go over the top in Florida. So this is going to be tough for them.
Yeah, it's going to, and it's also going to be awkward. Danielle, what are you expecting?
I think it's going to be awkward as well, Maria. You know, this is a man who's going to put stop to the legacy of Obama in some respects, maybe all respects, we don't know. As a Democrat, I'm hoping not all of them. It's always going to be a little bit awkward when you have a Republican and a Democrat, but what they're doing is they're in it together. So we have a Democrat and a Republican, we have Hillary Clinton who lost, we have Trump who lost the popular vote. They need each other. Obama's legacy is important, and you know, I think that they are going to lead in a way that Americans need them to.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to hear him compare it to with the Bushes and previous presidencies, because during the campaign, he said flat out, when it was me and McCain, or when I with Romney, I at least trusted the country with these people. With Trump, it's different. And you know, his tone yesterday was obviously great. Everyone was very classy yesterday, but you're making that comparison, but you specifically said that it's different on the campaign trail repeatedly.
Yeah. Right, we have birtherism, we have some of these other things. You know, there's a little bit of this going on.
Sure.
So yeah, awkward's the right word.
A little bit.
We talk about Hillary Clinton being a horribly flawed candidate, but part of the reason that she lost is because she was running on the last 8 years. She was running on Obama's legacy, and the American people, essentially, to borrow a term that Charles Krauthammer used, referring to the Democratic Party, the American people essentially took a wrecking ball to it by electing Donald Trump, because he was running on, I'm going to reverse his order on keeping illegal immigrants here. I'm going to completely unwind Obamacare. Obamacare is his centerpiece regulation, and he's going to dismantle it.
And then the Iran deal.
Right. Everything that's happened in the last 8 years, and the American people were not happy with what the president did. And so he has to face that reality. He can be as angry as he wants to at the Clintons, but again, a lot of what happened on Tuesday is because of him.
And you know that this is going to come up. A lot of the programs that the president put in place, Donald Trump wants to unravel. We'll see what the president says to Donald Trump about Obamacare. We probably won't know, but you know that that's going to come up.
I think he'll make his case. I think he'll be a grown adult, and I think he'll be very courteous to Donald Trump in
Especially
that
after
regard.
Bush was so courteous
yeah,
to him.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I think they're both grown adults. I think they don't want to blow the system up. I think they're going to work together. So I have a little bit more faith in both of them.
Okay, all right. Rachel, let me ask you about Wisconsin, because yesterday Trump won Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes. The state has not flipped red for the presidency since Ronald Reagan's candidacy back in 1984. Pretty amazing how Ron Johnson held his Senate seat despite earlier polls showing challenger Russ Feingold with a pretty strong lead. What are you seeing there? You're right in Wisconsin right now. What's the mood over there? Were you surprised? Give us the sentiment of the people.
Well, we weren't surprised, especially up here in north central Wisconsin, where I'm at. We could see it on the ground. We could feel it on the ground. We knew those polls were wrong. 44%. His chief of staff took a leave of absence, helped run the campaign in Wisconsin for Trump, and we were very confident that he was going to win here.
Well, the anecdotal evidence also made us feel more confident that he was going to win as well, because when we were speaking to small businesses, they were all in it for Trump.
Yes.
Ed Henry reported something.
Absolutely, and Ron Johnson was a businessman who understood and was elected fighting against Obamacare and what that would do to small businesses.
Yeah.
He had a lot of credibility, and when the information came out about premiums skyrocketing, he really benefited from the timing of that back in early mid-October.
Sure.
We always talked about Hillary Clinton's money advantage, and Ed Henry yesterday on Special Report, Sheldon Adelson, we knew had poured about $25 million into getting Donald Trump elected, giving money to the Ricketts super PAC out of Chicago. But Ed Henry said that he had heard that the number was closer to $75 million. And it was micro-targeting, it was television advertising, it was digital advertising at the very last moment when it mattered. So there was a huge, there was a lot of money behind Trump coming out of Sheldon Adelson.
Yeah,
which I think
also,
is just worth noting.
There was also a surprising turnout from so many groups. We talked about Hispanics. Actually, there was a big turnout of Hispanics who came out for Trump. They opted for Hillary Clinton's 65% to Donald Trump's 29%, but there was also a big support from women. Trump received more support than Romney got in his 2012 run, beating him by 2%. That's on Hispanics. What do you think, Danielle? What was resonating? Because everybody said women weren't going to turn out, Hispanics weren't going to turn out. In fact, they did.
What I think they did, and we see this with the Hispanic vote, which is 29%, and obviously the white women and the suburban women and suburban voters, I think they cut past a lot of the rhetoric, and they saw him for what he was. I mean, he's a moderate Republican. Many people just wanted to vote Republican, and I think they saw past some of these insults and other things that people like me held on to, and said this is going to be someone who's going to be a moderate and who's going to govern well, who's going to be fiscally responsible.
Is a moderate Republican a centrist Democrat? Is that what you're essentially trying to say?
I think so. I think there is crossover, and frankly, there's not much in this country. We're so polarized, but I think Donald Trump is almost like a Bloomberg, someone who is fiscally responsible, maybe socially liberal, and I think voters got out there and said, I can set aside some of this rhetoric and bluster.
Do you think she was hurt because she actually didn't answer for any of the outstanding questions that were out there? I mean, she didn't hold a press junket. She wasn't really willing to take any of the hard questions. She just kind of stood up there and
Rachel, she didn't go to Wisconsin one time after the Democratic National Convention, did she? She didn't pay one visit to that state. She took it for granted.
She absolutely did.
She took it for granted, and Trump was up here. His sons were up here. They did not take it for granted. They saw the possibility and the opportunity here, and they took advantage of that. But remember, this Republican Party here in Wisconsin is the most organized, the most battle-hardened, and best Republican Party in the entire country because of what we went through with Scott Walker. So this was a party that was organized, knew how to get their voters to the poll, knew how to identify them, and they had a real advantage in that regard. But again, the message matters, and you're talking about the message and the messenger mattered. And so whether you're talking about Wisconsin or that Hispanic vote in Florida, look, I think we can pretty much now, I hope, crush the idea that Hispanics are some monolithic group. We care about the same things that the rest of the country cares about. Immigration is number 4 on our list. So as much as the Democrats pounded immigration on Spanish TV, on English language TV, and tried to hold him up as a racist because he wanted to protect the border. And even though he said some pretty insensitive and impolitic things at the beginning of the campaign that I think were regrettable, he still did better than Romney.
Yeah.
And
well,
I think the reason is because, look,
yeah.
Look, Hispanics are the, I'm sorry, Hispanics are 2 million more of them are in poverty than when Obama took office. They are the most entrepreneurial demographic in the entire country, starting businesses at 3 times the rate of the average American. So they liked that business message. And if anything, I think what happened is that Donald Trump missed an opportunity to go over the heads of Spanish media and speak directly to them. I think his numbers would have been higher if he had gone and talked directly to Hispanics about school choice, about business opportunities, about taxes and regulation.
Yeah, what
and
a
I hope
novel
that
thought,
whoever
you know,
runs in the next time stops
what a
doing this
novel
immigration game that the Democrats put in front of them and start talking about real issues with Hispanics.
Yeah, what a novel thought. Hispanics and women also want opportunities and jobs and a strong economy.
Yes.
Really. And Rachel Campos Duffy, Danielle McLaughlin, thank you. We'll be right back.